Before we hop into today's episode of the podcast, I want to tell you a little bit about our presenting sponsor of today's episode, NordVPN. Have you ever missed out on something because it wasn't available in your region or you felt like your data might not be safe online? I personally use NordVPN whenever I travel or work from coffee shops, which is quite often, because it keeps my browsing private and my data safe. I also use it in fun ways like to check international running content, gear deals, or even coaching tools that aren't available here in the US. One click changes your IP location, unlocks global access to content and deals, and over 5,000 servers worldwide, keeping your information encrypted and your browsing secure. There's also this new threat protection feature, which blocks malware, intrusive ads, and deletes infected downloads before they can do any damage. Right now, you can grab an exclusive NordVPN deal at nordvpn.com/runningeffect. You'll get a huge discount off your plan plus 4 bonus months, completely risk-free with a 30-day money-back guarantee. Protect your hustle, your data, and your digital life, and head to nordvpn.com/runningeffect to get started. The link is also in the episode description to make it easy to go to the website and check out the deal. Appreciate you all.
We're having a lot of great up and coming runners in Texas, and we just graduated a great senior class of runners, but it's going to be really hard this year to do that again. But I'm excited and I'm willing to accept the challenge to just go for it. There's no fault in trying and going for it. So honestly, just going for my goals and being ambitious about it. So.
That was Caden Leonard today on the Running Effect podcast. Caden is a guest who I feel like you guys out there who listen to the show have DM'd me to get on the podcast for over a year now. And so it's a privilege and pleasure to welcome him onto the podcast. He's a multiple-time Texas state champion, which Texas is a state that debatably is one of the deepest in the country. So his 5 state titles from there are remarkably impressive. He's run 4:04 in the mile, 8:50 in the 2 mile, and run some remarkable times. Outside of those ones, he's also placed 3rd at NXN, 2nd at Brooks PR, and just always put himself at the top of any race that he's in, as he talks about in this conversation. He hates to lose, but he's also a big team player. He said one of his biggest goals for this year is to help lead his team to an NXN team title, which is extra special in lieu of his dad being the coach at his high school and have been the coach at his high school for many years before Caden even got into high school. Thoroughly enjoyed this one. If you enjoy it, share it with a friend, a family member, a teammate, someone who you think would find value and benefit from it. Give us a 5-star review. It takes 3 to 5 seconds to do. And make sure you are following or subscribe to the podcast so that you never miss another episode. And without further ado, I hope you enjoy the wisdom of Caden Leonard before he enters his senior year, where he will almost definitely be dominant and be a force to reckon with. Caden Leonard, welcome to the Running Effect podcast. How are you doing this afternoon?
Doing great.
Do you want to tell the people out there, massive run this morning? I mean, crazy mileage.
Yeah, got 12 minutes in this morning. First run, that was back-to-back days, so coming back from a little injury, and just grateful that I can be able to run and stuff like that and getting back. So
we'll get into that in a moment here shortly, but I've learned, and normally I'm not too analytical with my podcast. I just want to have a conversation with the person on the other side of the screen. But I've been taught and I've read, and I know from myself being a consumer, a good hook always keeps people. I was at Brooks PR this year. I was sitting at breakfast. Caden's like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to race, guys. Ends up placing 2nd in the 2 mile. You want to take the people through this story?
Yeah.
I'm not adding anyone here, but
yeah,
funny times.
Yeah. So I, got into Brooks and everything, and I was super excited and super grateful that, they chose me to go run there. And, I signed everything they needed to, and got there, and I was like, okay, to my roommate, I was like, all right, night before races, my dad has a hotel, 2 rooms. I'm going to go sleep in my dad's hotel. I just sleep better not in the same room as someone. I didn't think anything of it. I passed out at 8:45 or 9 o'clock. So I wasn't looking at my phone, and all of a sudden I wake up in the morning and my phone is just blown up. Just text and calls oh, you broke the got first, like one of the biggest rules, like, I don't think you're going to be able to race today and all this stuff. And I was like, oh no, like, it's like, shoot. I felt really bad, walked over and I just like talked with them, and gratefully they let me run. And, yeah, I was very, very sorry for like freaking them out and stuff like that. But, I guess it could have been worse. So
For clarity and context, though, you were with your dad. You
yeah,
weren't doing anything crazy.
yeah. So it wasn't like I, went out or like did something stupid. So, I think that's probably why they gave me some slack. So I was pretty lucky.
Was that the craziest pre-race sort of situation you've ever had happen, where you weren't even sure a couple hours before your race if you were racing?
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah, I don't know. It was pretty crazy, but I was texting like Coach Milt and stuff like that, and he's like, don't worry about it. Like just focus on the race, and everything else will take care of itself. So got good advice, and it all working out. So it wasn't that bad.
How nervous were you that day of the race, and then kind of leading into the race? Were you worried at all that, like, that stuff can take a toll mentally, emotionally? You can get to the race and you can just feel flat. Obviously, that wasn't the case for you. You placed second, but how did that affect you?
I think more so just like, I was worried a little bit, but honestly, just I don't really think it took a toll or anything. I just needed to focus on just having fun and going to race. Like it was my last race of the season, and I really hadn't liked how my whole track season had gone leading up to that. And so I was just kind of, like, shoot, let's just go have some fun, and not really put too much pressure on myself, and it all worked out. So I'm glad that I mean, me and my roommate, we went 1 and 2, so it wasn't that bad. So yeah.
Boys 2 miles, some sparks flew, but I wouldn't say anything crazy. But across the aisle, what's your take on Jane and her season, and even at that race, like seeing a 9:17 from a female? What's your take on that?
It was like insane. Like I remember like looking up, and like within like the first lap, it was like, geez, like it's already over. I honestly, it's just like, it's pretty crazy to see what she's been doing, and leaving her mark on the high school world. And now I guess she's getting ready to go be at BYU. And if she runs next, like, I don't know, if she's going to do a mission or not, but I would assume she's just going to be running next year. So going to be pretty cool to seeing her from like the high school level to all the way to college. But I think it's awesome for the sport, and good for the girls too, to kind of have someone to look up to, and ultimately just, they'll all be getting faster and stuff like that. So it's pretty cool. I don't know how I thought it was pretty hot, even like coming from Texas that day too. So I don't, it was just one of the craziest things I've ever seen. So it was pretty cool.
For you, what's your take on just the general state of the sport, both from the perspective of the guys' side, with like Quentin being a junior, you being a junior, and then even the girls' side? Obviously, Jane is graduating, but having someone, because I think on the girls' side, we haven't really had someone in recent years that's just been like jaw-dropping dominant. Like watching her at Festival of Miles, watching her at Brooks PR, seeing what she did indoors, seeing her run 14:57 or 59 the 5K, like, it's crazy. I feel like it's such an exciting time to be in the sport, but also be a fan of the sport.
Yeah. I think just like the state of this like sport right now is pretty awesome. Honestly, like my opinion, I think like high school like running is like bigger than, I almost feel like, even like pros or college or stuff like that. I feel like it's like, you go to like track meets, and like there's freaking more fans there than it looks like, when they're at pro meets or stuff like that. So I think it's awesome. But I think it's just growing, and more people are getting into it, and it's only getting bigger. So it's very exciting to be a part of that, and having such like great guys in like my class, and to be able to like run against, and go and like chase, because now there's people with like way faster times than me. So you got to look forward, and just got to go try and get after them, and work every day. So
who has the target on their back going into cross season, would you say?
I wouldn't really put like one person. I would just think like, honestly, just, there's so many top guys. I would just say, I feel like everyone is like looking at everyone else, and knowing we're gonna be able to compete with each other and go and just have a bunch of fun. It's gonna be a fun year. I think every year there's always like some seniors that just like come out of the woodworks and stuff like that. So I'm excited to see who that is, and by NXN time, I feel like there's going to be a whole bunch of guys that are going to be competing for the title, and so we got to be ready and do our part to get ourselves there and be ready to compete.
You obviously placed third at NXN last year. Top returner? Did you get that one on the bib?
I think so. I think last year, I don't know. I think the boys were like 200 and up, so I think this year we're like 100 to 199 or whatever. So I think hopefully I get the number one bib. That would be pretty cool. So let's see.
Do you feel pressure from that or not really?
No. I think it's really cool. Like with my dad being my coach, and so like I've been around the sport my whole life. So like he's made like almost every NXN there is to make. So like I've like dreamed about like having the number one bib. Like they always talk about it before the race. So like he's got the number one bib. So I just think it's really cool. So I'm really just excited to be able to wear that of some elite company. So it's gonna be pretty fun.
Last year, the race, kind of crazy situation with you falling. Do you want to take people through that race? And were you happy with third? Obviously, as a junior, knowing you had one more year, I'm sure it would have stung a little more if you were a senior. Or did you want more out of that race?
Yeah. I mean, just going in the race, I was really focused on like the team like title, or trying to get like top three, because we had a great team last year. We had multiple great athletes on our team, so I was honestly just focused about that. But individually, like I knew like for a team to like be the best, it helps having the lowest score possible as an individual. So I wanted to go for the win. Every meet I enter in or go for, I'm going for the win. I hate losing. I think it's one of the worst things. So I guess just going to that race, it was pretty relaxed and just honestly just having fun, hanging out with my teammates and just messing with people like the couple days before. And it's honestly like, I feel like it's either a meet where like you can like look around and be caught in like all the other top guys and be like, wow, like, do I belong and stuff like that? Or you can go into it and be like, no, I belong. Like I'm here. And I'm able to compete with anyone else that's here. So I feel like that's kind of how I went into it. And, I wasn't one of like the guys they had on the board and stuff like that. And I took notes of that all year. Like they did rankings and I was kind of always like in the back of them. And I just kind of took it personal and knew that when it came to NXN, I was gonna do my stuff, not really pay too much attention to it. So got there and went to the race, and obviously I fell. Everyone likes to talk about it or post stuff about it, and I don't mind it. It does bother me a little bit just because some people like think it's funny and stuff like that, and like it was funny initially after it, I guess a little bit, but I take that stuff kind of serious because I want to win, and I wanted to win, and I didn't get the job done, but I was still proud of getting third and being able to just go for it and compete for the guys and ultimately get fourth place overall as a team. So a little short of our top three goal, but we were right there.
How much will you double check that corner this year on pre-meet?
It was just funny too. Like I have run like of course my freshman sophomore year. Like I've slipped there before, not like falling to the ground, but I've always known that corner was slippery. And I just kind of just wasn't really thinking when I did it. But yeah, I'll be definitely paying attention to it a little more. Maybe grabbing onto the fence or something. So yeah.
How much did it take out of your body? I imagine watching it, I'm like, oh, I wonder, how his body's feeling coming off of that. Yeah. I feel like it takes adrenaline away. What was your body feeling getting up from that?
Honestly, my body, I didn't really feel too much in my body. Like, I don't know. I do like only remember like when it happened. I remember, I think it was the Olympic trials or something like that. I remember a BYU kid doing the steeplechase, fell down,
Yeah,
and
Kenneth Brooks.
yeah, and he like was like way back and then worked himself up if he won the race or got second or something. Um, but I remembered that, and in his interview, he talked about just kind of like visualizing like everything, and then like staying relaxed enough to not do anything too stupid. So honestly, that's just kind of like the first thought that came to my mind is stay relaxed and just work your way back up to it, and that's kind of what happens. So
How much of that race do you think gives you a chip on your shoulder going into cross country this year? You said you hate to lose. I'm sure you feel like you have unfinished business on the cross course. How much do you think that motivated you to train throughout the track season as well as, recent cross training?
yeah, I think it's like everything. I think is good motivation to knowing that like I haven't won anything yet. I have to get to work. And if not, there's other guys that are willing to do the work. So just knowing that guys are chasing me and I'm chasing guys. So um, honestly, just getting after it every day and being ready. So
As much as you're willing to speak on this, and people out there, don't be offended if he doesn't say your name. There's so many people out there. What's like someone's listening, they want to get into high school cross country this year in terms of following the sport. Who are the names people should be looking out for, and what are some of the key, matchups, rivalries, whatever you might call it, that you think will make this sport exciting this fall?
yeah. Well, I think like I think honestly the biggest thing if you're just getting the sport, I think you should honestly the easiest is just go look at like the first rankings that come out for like mile split, and typically they always have like the top names on there, but I'm excited just to kind of see like everyone that's returning from NXN, so going back and seeing all the returning freshmen, sophomore, and junior class that's all returning. So whether that be like my boys that I met at like Nike Elite Camp, or guys that I was hanging out with at Brooks, Festo, and Miles, and any of them, and even more guys that I haven't met yet that I'm excited to meet at some of these meets. So I think just kind of look at that stuff, and honestly, if just watch races and stuff, and I feel like it's pretty easy to pick out which guys you like or kind of want to root against or stuff like that. I think it's all good for the sport. So
How much are you studying film, like previous races, your own races, looking at rankings? Like, are you pretty invested in the sport, would you say?
yeah, I right now it's pretty easy because when I'm on the bike a lot or stuff like that, I'm able to just kind of rewatch races and stuff like that. I actually talked this past weekend with someone that kind of gave me a new like idea on how to like actually watch races and stuff like that. And so I'm super fortunate that they kind of taught me that because I never really looked at it in that way. So I love to watch races. Like this is my sport that I love to watch. Like maybe some people's football, but this is my big sport. So I watch it all the time. Watch races with my dad all the time. And honestly, just a fan of the sport and glad to see everything going really exciting in the U.S. running right now. So.
Coming from Texas, I have to ask you, how crazy is Texas high school football culture? And do you feel like running gets overlooked because of it?
Yeah, it's really big here. I think it does get overlooked in a way of like, if you do cross country, you're kind of looked as like the weird kid or stuff like that. But I don't really care. If you're successful at your sport, I think there's a lot of hard work you've put into it. And, if people are going to judge you based on what you do, I think, you shouldn't care about their opinions anyways. So it's definitely really big here, though. Like, I'm a massive football fan. I love going to games and watching and stuff like that. So I'm also big into like high school football recruiting because even though I'm going to North Carolina to go run, I'm like my family is like a diehard like UT football fan. So I love
Boy.
Texas. I love Texas
Texas,
football.
Ohio State, who's winning?
I think I got to go with Texas. I think Arch Manning's going to put it on those boys. So I'm pretty excited to watch that game, and honestly just be screaming in the house with my brother and dad. We'll probably tell my mom she's got to leave the house for that game just so she's not getting too mad at us.
Dude, come up to Columbus. I'm in this position where I need to make a few calls to get some tickets.
Mm-hmm.
If that doesn't come through, I'm like, is it worth $400? Because I lived in Austin for 10 months, which I don't know if we talked about in Seattle. And that was Arch's freshman year. And so, well, Arch and I are the same age. Yeah. So I was like, the city of Austin just kind of rallied around that team because it was like the first year that they were really good. And so you felt the city just come around the team. So I was like, okay, I'm slowly becoming a UT fan. And then even last year, I definitely was a UT fan in the OSU Texas game. It was weird. I wore Texas gear, but I like cheered for Ohio State, but I didn't really care. I was like kind of removed as like a win-win situation. But I've always said, I go, the year that Arch gets made starter, I'll be a Texas fan. So I have some decisions to make over the next month. But the thing with Ohio State is like, I don't know. They lost 14 starters, new offensive coordinator, new defensive coordinator. So I think it'll take some games to get adjusted. I think by the end of the year, they'll be great. But I could see Texas just coming in and just like giving them a butt whooping. So we'll see. I think it'll be interesting.
Yeah. Quinn Ewers is from my high school that I go to. So
really?
Yeah.
Dude, they should have benched him. That's my hot take. I think they should have put an Arch in.
I don't know.
He didn't play well. The year before, he played so much better.
Yeah, I don't know. He was predicted to go first round at the start of the year. I just think injuries just kind of made him get overlooked and stuff like that. But it is tough though. Like I feel like the positions that like their games we were playing, like if you got to put an Arch Manning, to start against Ohio State in a playoff game, like I think going with Quinn Ewers is a way better option.
Nah, Arch balls out.
I don't know.
I'm an Arch Glazer. Those are like the big game moments. I wanted him to be put in, absolutely ball out, and then like that's his legacy. Because if he goes in against Ohio State, he wins it. He's got like a 2-drive like touchdown. They're gonna start him in the Natty, and if he wins the Natty, come on, like so. I was hoping that would happen when they played Georgia early on in the season. That did not pan out that way, so I don't know, but I'm hoping both teams go far this year. The crazy thing for me was we have a lot of friends and whatnot from Notre Dame, and that was one of the schools I looked into heavily when I was applying to colleges. So I've been a Notre Dame fan, and then I was born in Erie, Pennsylvania, so I actually grew up a Penn State fan. And so the college football semifinal, I was like, I don't really care who wins. Yeah. I definitely wanted like Ohio State or Texas to win it all, but I got a good luck at the draw. So, how big is running in the state of Texas in terms of high school compared to other sports? Obviously, football is probably the biggest, but
I think I still think it's pretty popular. A lot of kids do it in middle school and stuff like that, so everyone kind of knows what the sport is. But also, it's just like different areas. If you go to a small town, there's not going to be that much of running because it's just a small little football town. But I feel like as you get to like Austin area, Dallas area is pretty good. The kind of bigger city areas, definitely I think is where running gets a lot more popular. So I think it's kind of like a medium state for running. Definitely like if you're like a pro or like college, I would not recommend running in Texas because it gets pretty brutal in the summer and stuff like that. But winter running, it's pretty great here because it never gets too like cold and doesn't really snow much. So it's pretty nice in the winter though. So
do you feel like that gives you a level of mental toughness and resiliency come the fall when you're racing on some of these courses that aren't as hot?
Yeah, I think it's like, people say like it's like poor man's altitude, like the heat and like humidity and stuff like that. And I think it's true. Definitely, a big thing like our team kind of like rallies around and says is like, when we have second runs and stuff like that, we always say second runs like build character because, the feels like will be like 109 degrees when we're running at 4 p.m. And it's like, you have to want it really bad to be willing to go outside and go do that and holding each other accountable. So that's kind of what I say about that.
I feel like people who grow up in Texas have a lot of pride for the state. Where would you say not your allegiance lies, but just like your passion for the state of Texas, winning state titles. What does it mean to you?
Yeah, I love it. I always I love the state so much because I feel like we do have a lot of pride, and I think that's why like other states may not like the state of Texas is because I feel like I feel like the state of Texas is like the Cowboys fans. Like I'm a Cowboy fan, but I feel like that's how like other like states and stuff view us. But I love like it gives me a lot of joy like knowing like I've won like state titles and stuff for our state and just really like our school and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm a big Texan. So.
What would it mean to win another? You've won what from a cross perspective? Sophomore and junior. Would this be back to back to back?
Mm-hmm.
How many times has that been done?
I'm not sure. I know like between cross country and state track titles, the record is 7. So I have 5 right now. So,
jeez, crazy. How big of a goal is it to break that? Get to 8. What's the path in your mind?
Yeah, I think it's a pretty big goal. I want to go for it, but it's going to take a lot of work. And we're having like a lot of great up and coming runners in Texas, and we just graduated a great senior class of runners. But it's going to be really hard this year to do that again. But I'm excited and I'm willing to like accept the challenge to just go for it. There's no like fault in trying and going for it. So honestly, just going for my goals and being ambitious about it. So,
yeah. What's the nickname, Mr. Texas? I don't know. What do they call you besides Caden?
I don't know. I don't really know what they be calling me.
Yeah. It was a banger line that show notes researcher found. I think this was from Rich Gonzalez. He called you surgeon on the course or surgeon on course. Yeah. That's hard. That goes hard. Yeah. I feel like you are a man who has really good tactics. Where do you think you learned those?
I think just a fan of the sport and, my dad being the coach and honestly just knowing from him, like on like watching like so many races on like being able to study on like, okay, well, my strengths are, XYZ and people I'm racing against strengths are this and just kind of being able to put it all together. But also like, I feel like it is like an ability to be able to kind of see when people are struggling or, hurting and being able to sacrifice like a little bit of feeling to add on a little more hurt to people and try to drop them is honestly probably my favorite thing of running. So I think I just kind of learned it from my dad and stuff like that. So
what's the biggest goal this season? Win a national title, win a state championship. Like, what are those goals? And are you the type of person to have those goals in the back of your head? Do you write them in a journal over your bed? What does that process look like?
Yeah, I'm a big goals person. I think you have to like have goals to try to go reach. I feel like every top athlete in the world has their goals, and I've seen a lot of research on like the importance of writing your goals down, looking at it every day. So on my mirror, I'm planning on getting to writing this season's goals. I just took off like track season goals, but probably in the next like week or so is when I'm going to write my cross country goals down. But I always have them on my mirror, and then always like quotes just kind of everywhere, like in the house that I like. But honestly, I think the main goal is a Team NXN title. Our team's been 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, and then a lot of just like random placements throughout NXN. So I think leaving my senior year, doing my part and trying to get my dad his first ever like coaching title would be really cool for NXN, and being able to help lead the team and get underclassmen and whatever to be their best and do their best is kind of my biggest goal this year. Because I think I have my individual goals, of course, but I think if I'm able to put the team goals first, it's pretty easy to chase those and have people to relate with them, if that makes sense, like with my teammates. And not putting too much pressure on myself for my individual goals, but also knowing it and seeing it every day to strive for it. So, yeah.
You mentioned multiple times in this conversation your dad being your coach. At what point growing up did you realize like running was a sport and something that you potentially wanted to do?
Honestly, I mean, my parents have pictures of me when I was like 6 months old, them taking me to the state cross country course and watching
And
that.
he was
So,
coaching back then?
yeah.
Wow.
So
Wow.
I think I was at NXN when I was like around that age too. But then as I kind of got older, my dad made a rule that I couldn't go to NXN because I had to earn my way to get there. So I never really got to see it in person, which I think was really important. But I always went to the state cross country meet and track meets and stuff like that to watch. But it's really important to me because I feel like it's pretty unique. Not everyone gets to have their dad as their coach, so I'm super grateful for it, and I'm definitely gonna miss it when it's over.
How has your relationship with him evolved over time, and how do you guys navigate the father-son relationship with the coach-athlete relationship?
I think it's pretty easy because we just don't really make it our life. We always we talk about it and stuff like that, but it's pretty easy to when we're at practice, we're at practice. So I can talk to my dad a certain way at home versus when I'm at practice, and it's pretty easy to do. And we've done a great job on kind of being able to do that. And honestly, yeah, I think it's just pretty easy and it's pretty normal for me at this point because my mom is a principal. So I've had my mom as like my principal in intermediate and middle schools too. So like I'm already like really used to all that stuff.
Did you ever get sent to her office?
No, I did not. Unlike my brother is going to be a freshman in high school, and thank goodness I never got sent to her. But I've got to hear some yellings and stuff like that this past year because my brother got sent to her. So,
So funny, man. That's hilarious. So dad, coach, mom, principal, and you've had both of them. That's crazy. That's crazy. In terms of the team, being a leader on the team, wanting to win NXN, how do you view your leadership and what's it been like growing and evolving the team into what it is today? And has it been hard recently, not being able to run with the guys as they start to build up their summer mileage?
yeah. Honestly, my class is like a pretty small like senior class compared to, our team is 140 girls and boys. And our class is very small to that number. And that means that like my closest like friends, we've all kind of stepped up as leaders. So whether that's being in practice leaders or helping with workouts, stuff like that, it also means like holding everyone accountable outside of workouts. And I think that's honestly the biggest thing is making sure people are doing the right things. But I love it. I love trying to make people better and reach their goals and go after it. But also, just like competing with them and being able to like, I always tell them like I want to help them as much as possible. And they do the same thing because you never know what's going to come back to you. I looked up like at the end of track season and, they could have been on recovery weeks and stuff like that. And instead they were pacing me on all my workouts when it was just me. And so I think it like relays and comes back to yourself if you're, kind to others and help people out. So I was really grateful for that. And so.
A little over, what are we? July, so August, 8th month of the year. Maybe like 10 months to go left in the high school career. What do you want the legacy of Caden Leonard to be, both statewide and just national wide? After you leave, you go to UNC. What do you want people to think of when they hear your name?
I want them to think of me as like someone that was like just like a good person, and obviously like when people see me, like they'll think like, oh, he's fast and stuff like that. But I also want people to like remember me by like if they ever come up to me or stuff like that, like I'm just kind and leave like a legacy on it doesn't matter the speed or stuff like that. Just about being a good person and stuff like that. So I think that's kind of a legacy I want. Not everything's about, just being this glorified runner in people's eyes. I think, we're normal people too. So kind of just leaving that kind of legacy that it doesn't matter your speed, that you can be friends with me and stuff like that. So.
What advice would you give to those listening who want to crush this season, want to be better, want to be one of the greats, want to, run at Festival Miles or Brooks one day? What advice would you give to the next generation who wants to do some of the things you've already accomplished?
I think just the advice I would give them is consistency, effort, and those things, because it's, you're never nothing's guaranteed in the sport, but just controlling the things you can control, and and you just got to have a lot of faith and trust in the sport that you're going to be good enough, whether that's maximizing your own abilities. So just kind of those little things.
I love it. Caden, it's been a privilege and pleasure welcoming you on, I can't speak today, onto the podcast, hearing your story, a lot of the insights. Final question before I let you go. The question I ask every guest on every single podcast, sounds like you've listened, so you might be prepared. If you had Gordon Ramsay coming over to your house for dinner, what would you choose to make for him?
Yeah, I thought about that today. I think I would do like burgers or something like that. I don't really cook too much, so probably just burgers and cheat and do some oven fries or something like that. I'd probably do something like that. So
nice, love it, man. And final question for you: those Caden Leonard fans out there, where can they expect you this fall? Coming up race. I know you're coming back, and I know it's still July, but what's a key pinnacle moment people should look out for?
Yeah. My first race is going to be district meet this year. Yeah. So, but honestly, probably state cross country meet. I feel like it's the first exciting meet I'll do this year. So looking at the state cross country meet and tuning in to watch that and see a great competition. So
amazing. Caden, thank you so much for the conversation. Keep crushing it. And I look forward to following along this dominant senior season that I know you're going to have.
Yeah. Thank you.